Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade on a Wednesday, the 30th of April. I'm CJ Baumgartner. That's Corey Tackman. Our guy Zeke in the middle joining us here today. And guys, I think we just need to show the bottom here just so we can all see what Zeke is working with today.
Why? What happened?
Irritated is the nicest word I could use to describe the last 12 hours for me.
I don't understand. What could have possibly gone wrong?
It's Minnesota playoff season. That's what went wrong.
What? Are you talking about? The Wolves have a 3-1 lead.
I know. That's the only thing keeping me going right now.
The only thing keeping the
only thing in the entire universe is a 3-1 lead.
Remember on Sunday afternoon, it was Wolves in 5, Wild in 6, Twins back to winning, Vikings top 5 offense, who's got it better than us, and now it is Wild gonna lose, Twins suck, the Wolves are gonna blow it, and JJ McCarthy's gonna rip up his knee, and we're gonna have to sign Aaron Rodgers. Who has it worse than us?
Nobody.
You guys suck.
Okay, let's talk a little high school sports before we talk into some of the more pro sporting events here that we got going on. So let's talk a little bit about the baseball game that was yesterday between Bertha Hewitt Verndale and Wadena Deer Creek. Talked about a little old Park Region Conference clash, and Wadena Deer Creek got the bats going right away. They got a 5-run first inning, tacked on a couple more runs in the third, and then in the fourth inning was able to get a 7-run barrage that was able to kind of put the game away. They won 14-2 over Bertha Hewitt Verndale in 5 innings. Ben Krecklau on the mound got a really good start out of him once again, got things going, ran into a couple walks in the top half of the fourth that ended up coming around to score. But outside of that one inning, once again, a really good job for Coach Dykoff and company. Talking a little bit about the lineup and what they were able to do in that game. Things just went really well for Wadena Deer Creek. Some days you just see the ball and things work out. Here's how the top hitters in their lineup went. Cooper Ness went 4 for 4 with 3 runs scored. Kobe Snyder went 2 for 4 with a triple and 2 RBIs. Carson Davis 3 for 4 with a triple and a double and an RBI. And then Connor Dudke went 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a double mixed in there as well. The first inning went single by Cooper Ness on just kind of a seeing eye pop-up that the Raiders couldn't quite snag. And then it was triple, single. And then that single was followed by a double. And then that was also followed by another double as well. So that was how the first 6 hitters went for Wadena Deer Creek. And from that, it just kind of set the tone of like, it's their day. It's their day. For Bertha Hewitt Verndale, they just a lot of young pitchers on the core. Talking with head coach Dylan Carter, who's now in his 3rd season already of coaching the program, said, we just, our numbers get a little skewed because we have a 2 junior class right now. They have 2 juniors out total, and that kind of muddies the waters a little bit. So they have a lot of freshmen, have a lot of sophomores who are playing a lot of varsity time, and threw out a lot of varsity pitching there with the younger guys yesterday, and an experienced lineup in Wadena Deer Creek able to make them pay a little bit for that. And just again, having to play some of those younger guys in some of those positions and go from there. And that's kind of where they were. They weren't able to use Sean Schmitz on the mound in the game. I don't know quite if it's an injury or whatnot, but he wasn't playing his traditional position of center field, playing first base. So just kind of resting that arm. It kind of feels like at this point in the season, still was able to hit, had a couple nice knocks through so far in the game, but that's where it was, a 14-2 victory for Wadena Deer Creek. And as we talked about yesterday, Corey, Park Region Conference all over the place with Sabika getting a 9-1 victory over Parker's Prairie yesterday. So it's any given Sunday, right?
Yeah, the Park Region of the past has been very top heavy. We talk about it all the time when we talk about Park Region Conference baseball. We're talking about teams that are making a run for a state tournament every single year out of the PRC. Probably the deepest the PRC has been in a long time. Just competitive from pretty much top to bottom. So far this year, at least that's the way scores are going. Just scores obviously are not indicative of everything, because somebody's ace pitching or not pitching can make a really big difference here. But we're seeing a lot of teams beating a lot of teams. There's not, it's Wednesday today. Tomorrow, you're going to look at a score and be like, Sabika beat Parker's Prairie. So, this is our chance to get Parker's Prairie. Well, they might have a different guy throwing, or Holy Buckets, we're in for a dogfight with Sabika, but they got a different guy throwing. It's just a deep conference this year.
Mm-hmm. It very much is. All right, flipping things over to talk a little breaking news that happened this morning. And Zeke, it came across your desk first, so break it here on the sports desk. What happened in the Heart of Lakes Conference today?
Yeah, big shakeup in Heart of Lakes Conference boys basketball with Kyle Haberman, head coach of the Perham Yellow Jackets, reigning conference champions, stepping down as head boys basketball coach. And now for the second time in, I think, 3 years, because Dave Cressup left. He's at M State Fergus Falls doing some awesome things over there with that program. Mm-hmm. Haberman comes in 2 years, takes them from not a great team 2 years ago to Heart of Lakes Conference champions this year. And now, once again, a pretty coveted job in the Heart of Lakes Conference. The men's basketball position at Perham High School is wide open.
Yeah, wide open again. And like you talked about, Zeke, second time in 3 years. And that's not, I guess, it sounds worse than what it is sometimes. I think when you make it sound like it's like, oh, geez, is it a revolving door? Is it this? Is it that? From just kind of like guessing that there maybe is like just a different opportunity for him available. I mentioned this on Twitter, the same thing you said. Perham looking for the second head coach in 3 seasons or third, whatever. There's going to be another change in what's going on. And then Nick L Sports on Twitter, who is the sports editor over at the Detroit Lakes Tribune Perham Focus, mentioned this on Twitter, commented on my tweet, because I quote tweeted his article kind of to get that ball rolling. And he said, news came out of left field for me. From what I've heard, and this is Nick of the paper talking in Perham and DL, it's nothing more than basically Haberman pursuing a new job opportunity. So just something new happened, and they're just kind of turning a page and moving it. And he's a good coach. Perham's a very good boys basketball program. They'll both be okay.
Well, I was excited. For both Coach Cressup and Coach Haberman there, because Coach Cressup, he took that M State Fergus Falls team. They played the national tournament just this year after his only second year running that program, and Coach Haberman then at Perham. Those are, I don't want to overstate it, but like, you're filling in for some big shoes, right? Coach Cressup had been at Perham for a really long time, and Haberman at Lake Park Audubon, where he had some wonderful teams and some state tournament runs. And that first year in Perham, Coach Cressup went to a state tournament and then resigned and bounced. And there was a little turnover in that first year, and the program was down for 1 year. But he whipped that right around, the full 180 shift and got it right back to the top of the conference standings in a very good Yellow Jacket program. So it was just kind of like, from an outside perspective basketball fan, I was excited to see both of those guys go to new spots, turn those programs around so kind of instantaneously, and really show off that, well, they got hired in those positions because, by golly, they're good coaches and had absolutely earned it. So it's going to be fascinating. Like you both have said, that's a program to be reckoned with all time with the Perham Yellow Jackets, and to see what is next, what's in store, who's gonna fill those shoes and take that spot. It's always exciting. And sometimes nerve-wracking, depending on your perspective, when programs are seemingly on a high or on an upward trajectory, and then there's a little tumult with changeover on the top end.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing is there's going to be a lot of speculation. Does it go to somebody who's already on staff just to keep the continuity going, or do you go from the outside? And obviously I have no idea. So we'll just kind of have to monitor that and see what happens. But no matter who ends up, like we've all kind of said, no matter who ends up taking the reins of that Perham Yellow Jacket program, they're going to be pretty good more often than not.
All right, let's do morning sports desk bit. Remember when we all applied to be the public address announcer for the Minnesota Vixen?
Sure do.
Yeah.
Let's say we all throw in an application for Perham Yellow Jackets boys basketball.
What's that? We got voicemails back. It's just them laughing.
Well, no, you idiots.
Throw those 3 right out the door.
Get an Aaron Anderson, the AD at Perham, will just look at that and be like, you guys realize that like this is for coaching, right? Like
Aaron's awesome. I think he would appreciate it.
I think he would.
I'm in.
I think we would get an interview, but it would be like one that like you put it out there so everybody focuses on that while you actually hire like the real candidate behind this. You know what I mean?
Mercy interview.
Yeah. It's like when the Vikings brought in Harbaugh, like, you know, for the interview. Everyone's like, ooh.
Interview us, and then you can make the controversial hire. It won't seem as controversial because you interviewed radio dorks.
There you go.
Hey, look, Doug Gottlieb was a media personality who made the jump to coaching. Now, granted, they lost to Michigan Tech, but
Shaquille O'Neal is the new GM for Sacramento State or something like that.
Yeah. It's gonna be
him and Mike Bibby
playing over there.
I want to. You know what? Gottlieb's a total weirdo, but that guy was a good college basketball player.
He's a good college basketball player. He's just also a weirdo on the court, and he's a weirdo on the sidelines. He was a weirdo with the microphone, and now his Division I Green Bay team lost to Division II Michigan Tech, which is not a bastion of college basketball, mind you.
How about this? Good luck, Coach Haberman, and whatever's next.
Yes, that's probably the way to do it. And do whatever you're going to do, Doug Gottlieb. Who cares? That's
to Perham. We don't know.
Maybe
first. Doug to the Yellow Jackets.
Do the Yellow Jackets want that? Do they?
I kind of do.
Doug, if you're listening, you're welcome on the morning sports desk.
Anytime
you want.
That'd be interesting. Which media figure do you think could coach in the Park Region Conference? Like, which media figure would you pick to coach a Park Region Conference team? Any team. It's just generic. You just have to play in the conference.
This is easy for me because I want to see the fist fight. I want Stephen A. Smith as an assistant with the Henning Hornets. That's the easiest question you've ever asked. Volunteer assistant Stephen A. Smith.
It's an old bit, but he just, all right, Coach Misagatis walks in. All right, guys, day one, we got to make sure what being a Hornet's all about. It's staying smart on the court, being physical, being smart in the classroom, and also just being good leaders in the community. Stephen A., what's your message to the team? And he just goes, stay off the weed. And then he just leaves. He's like, all right, thank you. And then walks out the door.
I want Skip Bayless to coach somebody's track team. That's what I want.
It's just every single bad meet they have, he just takes their team's jersey and just throws it in the trash the next practice. Like sprinters, you just weren't where it was today. And then just throws it in the garbage. That could work. I think that could work.
I want CJ Baumgartner to coach somebody's speech team.
You don't want that. I got several children who will tell you they do not want that.
All right, what's next?
All right, let's talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
Hey, we're looking ahead to Mother's Day, to Father's Day, to graduation, and Pizza Ranch has a perfect gift for that mom, that dad, that grad in your life. With the Pizza Ranch gift card, pretty straightforward. If you don't know what a gift card is by this point, welcome to 2025. Hook them up. A great gift for moms, dads, and grads. A little rhyming from the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Hook them up with the they can use it for the buffet and can order for takeout. They can order for delivery. Stop in, get your food. Of course, the FunZone Arcade waiting right down the hallway through the big double doors, and a little fun to go along with it. Gift cards from the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Presenting the Morning Sports Desk.
All right. Okay. Let's, there's a few different places we could go with this, but we brought in irritated Zeke for a reason. Zeke, it looked like Hartman was going to send the Wild back to St. Paul with the wind at their backs. Marc-Andre Fleury coming in for the third period, saving the Wild and helping things out. And here we go. And the replay, nope, that was a goal. There was no kicking motion. The Wild are out of the woods. And with all that time while they were doing that replay, the Vegas Golden Knights could go back and challenge. And there was an offside call. And turns out Nyquist, for some reason, decided he needed to be clearly on the other side of the blue line. and the goal was brought back. We go to overtime. Vegas wins pretty easily. 2 overtimes in a row where the Wild look completely lifeless, getting the puck on the opposite end of the ice. But now Vegas puts the Wild on the brink, going back to St. Paul for a game tomorrow, I believe is game tomorrow, Friday.
Tomorrow at 6:30. Yeah.
Tomorrow at 6:30 for game 6 in this series. Wild need to win 2 in a row to advance. Zeke, how irritated are we?
Very. And first of all, I'm irritated with Vegas Golden Knights fans complaining about a 4:30 their time puck drop tomorrow because I've had to get my butt out of bed for like 10 o'clock puck drops, like 3 of the last 4 games or whatever, because they're still at the casino at 4:30. They haven't lost all their money yet, so they're
There's
they're
no
complaining about 4:30. I love during the workday playoff games, like when the Twins. I remember 2002 ALDS, they're playing Oakland. They're starting at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And none of us are doing schoolwork. We're all listening to the Twins. We bring radios to school and listen to John Gordon. We would
even work.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to. Yeah. So they shouldn't be complaining about 4:30 puck drops. That's obscene. Second of all, you got to hand it to Vegas for the sneakery that they did last night. Looking at the initial Ryan Hartman goal, I didn't see any kicking motion until the goaltender for Vegas, Hill, started making a kicking motion, which prompted them to go look at the replay, which gave Vegas an opportunity to go look at the offsides call, which Nyquist, you got to drag the toe there, my boy, or do something. The big thing I've seen on Twitter this morning from upset Wild fans is, well, we should go back and look at every ticky-tack offside call like that in playoffs because we couldn't review that before and now you can. And offsides is offsides, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah, it wasn't even close. Yeah, but it was sneaky to get the double challenge where the Wild able to survive the first one but don't survive the second one. Will there be a rule change coming so that the next time that Jaden McDaniels gets fouled and the ball goes out of bounds and it helps his team beat the Lakers in the playoff? Who knows?
That's
yeah. So maybe down the line someday the Wild will benefit from this, and you say you can't challenge 2 things on the same play, and I don't know, but either way, very disappointing game because the Wild have, outside of a couple minutes, I think they've been the better team in this series, and it should be 4-1 Wild right now, and they should be getting ready for either I think it'd be Los Angeles or Edmonton in the other side of that series, but instead we're down 3-2. We're wasting just an absolute masterclass from Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov. I think Boldy leading the playoffs in goals and
fourth, basically.
Yeah, it's they're right there. Just the best we've ever seen. The top line is fantastic, and nobody else is doing their part. And I don't understand why Bogosian and Merrill were out there on the defensive pairing in overtime in Game 5. I mean, there's nobody else. Zeev Buium, who apparently is garbage now because he was a healthy scratch yesterday. They put John Merrill in, and for some reason, Merrill is sliding out of the crease in overtime and gives Vegas a pretty much wide open shot to seal it. You ruin the Marc-Andre Fleury story coming in for Gustafsson, who got sick apparently. Fleury comes in the third period, his old stomping grounds in Vegas, ready to do what he did in that game against the Ducks and get the Wild back to St. Paul up 3-2, and that gets spoiled. And I did not have a great night mentally last night is what I'm going to say.
I have a bunch of questions, so
yes,
allow
sir.
me to rattle off a bunch of questions here, if that's okay. And feel free, chime in, answer whenever you have them. First question is, Gus pooped his pants, right? That definitely was how could you be out there for 2 periods? He had to have pooped his pants to not come out there for the third period, right? Are we all kind of in agreement on that?
He freaking better have pooped his pants, because now not only did he come out of Game 5, but he was sick during the Four Nations face-off and had to miss a game 2. So I don't know if it's high pressure situations or if he just has IBS in the big spots, but it's not what you want to see from your goaltender in those games.
I thought Nyquist pooped his pants.
Next question.
Yeah, everyone on the Wild defensive line pooped their pants last night.
About the offsides thing, and I don't know if I'm combining 2 memories of this game together, but wasn't the offsides like didn't the official give the old safe at home sign right before that goal was scored? Because my memory says safe, indicating no offsides, then the goal is scored, and then they can go back and review it. So the two-part question is, how do you, if that's what the official gave, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you watching in the first place to miss it by that much? And then how far back on these challenges? He was clearly offsides, so I'm not arguing that they got it right or wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm actually legitimately wondering, how far back can you go for this sort of stuff? Because, like, couldn't you go back to the puck on the other side of the ice and find a high stick somewhere? Or where does the rewind on the challenge actually go to? There must be some sort of limit on this, right?
I think there is. I think it's. I'm not 100% sure, but what makes sense to me is just immediate scoring plays, especially on a breakaway, like what Ryan Hartman had, and they'll go and they'll look everything. Offsides is the first thing I think they look at, and
so it starts at the blue line, basically.
I think so.
Started, even if the guy was offsides and had nothing to do with it anyway, he was just over there kind of watching.
He was just over there, yeah. And that's the argument is he had nothing to do with the play. Why is he there in that spot? He was just a little over anxious. I don't know. And that's the point that some fans are trying to make is yeah, he was offsides, but he never touched the puck. And that's a rule that some crazy Wild fans want to see changed is, yeah, he was over there, but he didn't have anything to do with it. Offsides is offsides. Yeah, should they have that in basketball? Cherry picking? That's what they don't want in hockey is cherry picking and like that. I mean, why is there no rule like that in the NBA? Because I don't think it's been a problem, but I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with the call. I just thought it was interesting because I don't know this. I'm not asking the question in the form of a bitter Wild fan. It's just how far back can you go for this kind of stuff? And that's what's interesting. And like, what indicates the start of the scoring opportunity? That's just a naive hockey question because technically that fast break starts on the turnover on the other end of the ice. So I just don't know where the rewind goes to and how they decide. And I'm just interested in that. I'm sure there's an answer. I'm too lazy to look it up also.
Me too. So I'm just going to continue my reckless speculation that say either starts on the blue line or maybe you wind it back 6 seconds before the goal is scored. So you can look for goalie interference. You can look to see if Ryan Hartman is blatantly taken down in front of the goal and there's a ricochet off I forget who it was, Tomas Hertl to get in the goal. I don't know.
Can I ask one more question now then? And then we can go wherever we need to go. But how do Wild fans respond tomorrow night in St. Paul? Because Minnesota fans are notorious for, if you give us a reason to care, oh man, will we care. And if you give us a reason to not care, sayonara, this is on you now. How are they going to respond to this?
I think the start of Game 6 will be louder than what they said games 3 and 4 were, because those were apparently some of the loudest games at the Xcel Energy Center in a very long time. Wild fans, including myself, we do not much care for the Vegas Golden Knights and the success they've had early in their season. They won a Stanley Cup in their second year of existence. They've been good every single year since the expansion draft. And for a lot of fans, it's jealousy. For me, I don't think that hockey should be played in a state where it's mostly desert. That's anything south of the Mason-Dixon line, hockey doesn't belong there. But that's my opinion. I would say if Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov weren't having the postseason that they were, I think that Wild fans would be more apathetic than what some of us are. If the Wild came into this playoff series and just Philip Gustafsson pooped their pants and weren't competitive and were rolling over, yeah, I don't think so. But the Wild have been good enough to win all 5 of these games so far. Maybe not game 2. They were pretty awful in that one. But every other game, they've been right there. They've lost the last 2 games in overtime on defensive miscues. Jake Middleton can't clear the puck in game 4. And then John Merrill is in la-la land in the middle of the ice in game 5. So I think if the Wild did what the Wild usually seem to do in these situations, and that's roll over and look forward to to next fall? I think absolutely. But I think with the Wild playing as competitively as they have, and they've been this close, I mean, game 6 and game 7 can go either way. I think Xcel Energy Center is going to be rocking tomorrow night.
Good.
It should be.
I mean, this is the last game at the Xcel Energy Center before they rename it to the, to the Paycor or the to the crypto.com.
The Chris Lindahl arena.
You laugh, but it'll be that.
I know. What
would be the most annoying thing that they could rename the Yanks? That
Target Arena.
That's super annoying that you even said. Didn't even cross my mind. That guy's name.
But now it's
the answer.
Either that or that Nikolay Law guy.
Oh no.
TSR time.
How dare you even bring any of these names up?
It's going to be Blaze.
Ideas.
It's going to be Blaze Credit Union.
Yeah, probably.
So that way,
they're putting their name on everything.
Tony Oliva and Kirk Cousins on the ice in game 1.
Yeah, and Lindsey Whalen.
Yep. Lindsey Whalen too. TSR time at least would have Naz Reid. So
Naz Reid.
We'll talk about Wolves in a second, but I saw this Wolves aside that I just need to mention. Somebody brought this up on Twitter, and I can't stop thinking about it because this is a non-Wolves fan. There's that picture, remember, on the Target Center Jumbotron of like Naz like mean mugging, and then Ant's like hyping him up behind him.
Yep.
Cool picture.
Love it.
And then this guy quote tweeted it with the caption that just says, "These people," talking about Wolves fans, "say Naz Reid how people say Roll Tide." And I'm like, dang it. That's it.
It just ruined it for me.
Listen,
Naz Reid.
Have something to believe in. So why not Naz Reid?
I choose to. I've denounced my faith. I'm establishing a church of Naz Reid.
Well, the Twins game last night, I sent it to you guys in our text chain. Someone was yelling Naz Reid at the Twins game last night, and they picked it up on the Cleveland broadcast.
As they should. Was the towel there? That's the big question.
Oh, the towel's everywhere.
The towel is everywhere. It's like Flat Stanley. Like, my goodness. It is everywhere in the world. And it's awesome. I love it. So we'll talk more about the Wolves in a second. But first, we just have to laugh at Cleveland. Even though the Cleveland Guardians did get a 2-1 win last night because Louis Varland decided to give up just a moonshot to end the game. I say last night, I should probably say early morning, because the Guardians Stadium decided for whatever reason to have an 1:50 rain delay, almost 2 hours from when first pitch was scheduled because there was incoming rain. So it's not like, oh, hey, there's rain to start the game, let's wait it out. It was not raining at the scheduled start time yesterday of 5:10 Central, 6 o'clock their time in the Eastern time zone. They're like, rain is going to come in an hour, so we're going to wait it out. And they wait an extra hour and maybe 1:15, and then it rains for 5 minutes and then goes away. And then they were showing the radar apparently on the big screen at Jacobs Field, Progressive Field, don't matter, Wolves in 5. And they like show just like this little row of green, and then it just quickly moves away. And they're like, are they trying to put this up here to be like, hey, the rain's coming? Except everybody looked at it and went, we're delaying the game because of this? So anyway, the conspiracy theories from Lavelle E. Neal of the Star Tribune. And he basically said he knows somebody in the Cleveland area who said the meteorologist that's on site for the stadium, because all these stadiums have local meteorologists, like give the recommendations to the umpiring crew on what to do. And they're like, they have such a skittish meteorologist there that they'll delay it for anything, like any reason that they have. They're going, oh, let's just hold back on that. So anyway, he has set back the weatherman discourse back at least a decade from his performance yesterday. Truly atrocious, but you know what? Maybe Cleveland was just praying for rain so that way their river could be not set on fire. I don't know.
Well, it worked.
It worked. They decided to play the game at 3 a.m, and turns out the Twins. Shameless gimmick by the Guardians to try and give their bullpen a day after the Twins completely roasted them on Monday. But you know what? It is what it is. The Twins had their chances to win, got left runners on. The Guardians also left runners on. The Twins just couldn't get their chance outside of a Ty France solo home run. I simply would just score more runs. So anyway,
do we have the number of walk-off wins that the Guardians have had against the Twins in the last 5 seasons?
It's too many. And every
9.
time I'll look
It's
back at any
9.
of them, I will get irrationally angry.
It's 9.
9.
9 walk-off hits against the Twins the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yep.
Don't they only play each other like
Yep.
15 times a year?
Like 3 series in Cleveland a year, I think.
So 9 of the 30 games,
Cleveland's walked it off.
like a third of the times Cleveland beats. Wow, that sucks.
Play 2 series in Cleveland this year, and I'm guessing they did the same thing last year. And since they redid the schedule since 2023 to have less division games and play everybody at least once.
That's dumb. I don't like it. I don't like them. I don't like it. I don't like them.
The more I read about the Cleveland Guardians, the less I like them. The good news is it makes me feel better that they haven't won a World Series since the FDR administration. So
That does make me feel a little bit better.
I wish I can blow a 3-1 lead to the friggin' Cubs, man.
Was that a part of the New Deal? Bottom line added in. Cleveland gets a World Series.
But it has to be when they go by the Spiders.
We're saving the Rust Belt and the industrial age. Give Cleveland a World Series.
This is the last good thing you're going to have until LeBron James and FDR went, who's that fella? And then he drove away. But yeah, that's the Twins game. They play tonight. Pablo Lopez on the bump. We'll see how that goes. Looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have a chance to clinch the series today. They have a chance to send LeBron to Cancun, send Luka back to Slovenia, wherever the heck in the world that is. It don't matter. I'm from America. So is Anthony Edwards. He's putting his patriotic duty on the line to try and send home the Lakers. As Zeke mentioned earlier, no Scott Foster on the reffing crew. No extender is in there. Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, Randall, everybody who talked to the media yesterday all said the exact right things, which is the series isn't over. We have to do the right things. We got to win. And that's all fine. What's really going to tell the tape is how the Wolves play in the first quarter. Because as bad as the Lakers have been in the fourth quarter of games, the Wolves have been not great in the first quarter of most games in this series. I think how they start out in the first quarter, if they kind of set the tone where they get down 15 by the Lakers, it doesn't mean they're going to lose, but it's just like, okay, great. It's going to be one of those games where you're going to burn all your energy just to try and get back in this game. Famously, even game 1, the game where the Wolves won by very handily, the first quarter was still not great. So if they come out and it's like, again, doesn't mean they're going to win the game, but if they come out and they're a plus 10 in the first quarter, it's like, all right, here we go. They're locked in. They're ready to go. This is a Lakers team that is desperate, and they're going to play desperate, and how you match that will be very interesting.
Yeah, the headline LA Times right now is the Lakers are describing this as their game 7 because it's win or go home. And for all of the adjustments they've made midseason, they were not great to start things off. They brought in Luka, they brought in the hype, they brought in a guy who may be playing tonight. We'll see if they get some reinforcements with Maxi Kleber, who's been upgraded to questionable. He might play tonight, and the Lakers need him because they played 5 dudes the entire second half on Sunday, and LeBron and Rui and Luka looked absolutely gassed, and the strategy worked until it didn't.
How many points did LeBron have last game?
How many points?
Yeah. How many points?
I don't know how many points he had in the fourth quarter. Not a whole lot.
Loser.
What did Luka go? Like 1 for 6 shooting?
Something like that. Yeah, it wasn't great. And the Wolves dodged a bullet there, and now they go back to LA. I don't know. I think this is the Wolves game that scares me. It reminds me of the Wizards game. It reminds me of those Indiana games. It reminds me of the Milwaukee game. It's a game that the Wolves should win handily because the Lakers are on their heels, but there's nothing more dangerous than a basketball team with nothing to lose, and that's the position the Lakers are in right now. And if we know anything about the Wolves in games that they're supposed to win, there's a good chance they're not going to win those games. And if this series goes to 6, I don't like that, and I like it even less if it has to go to 7 because it's just what's been etched into my DNA the last 38 years of loving Minnesota sports, even though what Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury did against the Rockets back in 1996 has absolutely nothing to do with what Anthony Edwards and Jade McDaniels are doing against the Lakers in 2025, that thought is still there. It's like, oh, here we go again. Look at the Wild. I mean, the Wild should have won the last two, and they didn't. And it's hard for me to get excited when every time I get excited, my heart gets broken.
Because Gary Anderson missed a field goal in 1998 when I wasn't even a year old. I have reservations about the Wolves tonight. It's true. As much as I am fighting that demon, I am fighting that urge. Like, I am staying positive. Wolves in 5, by the way. Like, they will win tonight. I believe that. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, anytime you try and get excited, you get reminded of the ghosts of past years. But I think the Wolves, yes, they do have the wind at their backs, but they still, I think, are motivated because it's a playoff game. And I think Anthony Edwards will be motivated because it's a playoff game. The one thing that'll be interesting is Ant has been getting a lot of good media over the last week. Does he buy into that? Like, that part? Whatever. But this is a big game for Anthony Edwards. He understands they can send LeBron home packing on his home court. And I think that is important. And I think they do come out, and I think they do end up getting a win. And the Wolves go on to the second round, and they wait to see what happens between Golden State and Houston.
The Lakers fans are awesome, and this Lakers team is a good team. It is impossible to match. It's going to be impossible to match the intensity that the Lakers are going to bring to start this game. Mm-hmm. I agree with you, CJ, how the Timberwolves start is important, but where I disagree is mostly they just need to weather the storm. They don't need to be up 10 to win this game. They don't need to be up 10 at the end of the first quarter to win this game. They need to be within 10 points at halftime and within 10 points going into the fourth quarter. The Timberwolves team is better than the Lakers team. We've been saying that since the very beginning, since before this series started. And now that team that we've thought is better than the Lakers since before the series started is up in the series 3-1. They're not suddenly worse than the Lakers.
Right.
I mean, I believe this in 5, not even as a fun bit. I believed completely that that's how much better the Timberwolves are than the Lakers, at least as far as a matchup goes. This is a perfect matchup for the Timberwolves. Can they lose this game? Yeah, 100%. But it's not like a heartbreaker if they do. The Lakers are good. But I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're going to. They just need to weather the storm. LeBron and Luka could combine for almost 90 points. And where are the other 30 going to come from that they need to win?
Mm-hmm.
They could get 90 from Luka and LeBron and another 20 from Reeves. Where are the other 10 going to come from?
They're going to come from the foul that comes from the 2-minute report.
There's no answer to that question. There's no answer. They don't have a guy who can stop any of the Timberwolves at the point of the attack, and they don't have anybody who can stop the Timberwolves at the rim. This is not,
baby. This is the Jared Vanderbilt revenge game tonight.
Guy who played
He's going to have 11 points, and that'll be the difference.
I think this game is. I think we see the life leave LeBron James in this game.
I hope so.
That would be very fun. That would be very, very fun.
For 56, let him.
Yeah, let him do it.
He won't. Jaden McDaniels, baby.
Well, yeah, because he's going to step on his foot. That's why.
Yeah, I didn't want to say this, but if you go back and look at the very first play of the game,
multiple plays.
Jaden McDaniels gets tripped, like foot behind his shin, shoved, no call. Just saying.
Well, who was guarding him on that? Who was he matched up with on that play?
I think it was Rui.
Was it Rui? I thought Rui
it was or Finney Smith. Yeah, one of those two. One of those guys that knocks down every freaking corner 3 that they have when they're given the opportunity. I can't tell those two apart.
He hasn't though. It's only he had one good game, and then guess what? Rui. They lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
He had his game. The Rui had his game in the series. They still lost. 11-96, Wolves in 5.
Remember when Lakers fans were saying, and others were saying, let the Lakers want the Wolves to go small. Get Rudy off the floor. We're going to play Rudy off the floor. And Rudy got off the floor, and the lineup of Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, and Julius Randle is a plus 58 in efficiency and the best ranked offensive group of 5 in the postseason so far. Congratulations on playing Rudy off the court.
The Wolves are going to win.
Rudy been kind of I don't want to say non-factor because he's had his plays, but looking ahead to the next series, that's when Rudy's going to.
His highlight of the series was shoving LeBron in the neck. Was the back of the
I just love that he can withstand that massive blow to the back of the head on a free throw box out, but he's down covering his face on basically every other play.
Mm-hmm. It was
falls on that 3-point attempt and hits the ground. It's like, come on, man.
My favorite
275 pounds.
My favorite part was was Rudy, who definitely was in the wrong, by the way. That's what.
Yep.
But did that, and then LeBron's freaking out, and he's just like
it's nothing.
It's the classic, like you're trying to yell at somebody, and they're just. It's like
I think it's Rudy's most endearing quality. He'll fight everyone.
Right.
He doesn't care.
LeBron screaming in my face.
He'll take a tech. It doesn't matter. Now, if he was playing for someone else, I'd hate it. But he plays for my favorite team. Like, I have guys, it's the argument for Draymond. You need to have guys like that on your team. I'm not taking any BS from anyone, period. You want to start boxing me out a half a second too early and hit me in my ribs just to throw me off? LeBron didn't do anything wrong. He may have jumped the starting gun by a split second. I'm not putting up with that. I have no issue with anything Rudy has done in this entire series. He sucks on offense. Why are we surprised by that? He's played good defense. They haven't needed him.
Right, exactly.
In this series.
And by the way, if there was a potential series with Golden State, like you alluded to, Zeke, they're going to fight every game, considering that those two got in a fight 10 seconds in of a 0-0 basketball game in November last year.
That was just the game that Draymond wanted off, though, wasn't
it? Something like that, because Steph wasn't playing, and then Rudy after the game was like, oh, yeah, I knew he wanted out of the game because Steph's not playing, so he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is funny again. But also, it's also funny because Draymond gets attacked, and everybody's like, that's going to calm him down. And it's like, no, it's not. He's daring the refs to throw him out of a playoff game. They're not going to do that. Yeah. So anyway, LeBron has only come back from a 3-1 deficit once in his career, and that was when Draymond Green got suspended for the crotch kicks. So to kind of give them the momentum and whatever you want to say. But he's only been done once, and it was that time, which, again, was almost a decade ago now. So, like, not to say it can't be done, and not to say that LeBron isn't amazing and isn't capable of all this stuff, but that is a much different LeBron a decade ago than he is right now.
And also a much different team.
Right.
This has nothing to do with LeBron. He scored 80 points in the last 2 games. They haven't won. This team is not as good as the Timberwolves.
It's all right. The Lakers are already moving on to the offseason talk. You're talking about getting Giannis.
They can make that happen. I think they totally should. After the Blues game
Giannis,
5,
baby.
Get Giannis.
After it's funny because you have a team beaten. We talked about this earlier in the week, but Zeke's here, so I want to bring this point up with him too. You have the Lakers beat when one of the most privileged fan bases in the NBA is complaining about officiating. That's when you know that, like, they're like, they got nothing. Like, after game 1 and game 2, it was like, okay, we got a series. Even after game 1, it was like, okay, well, that's not going to happen again. After game 3, it's like, all right, well, not ideal, but we'll dig back out of this. And now it's like, it's the realization that it's cooked and that the Wolves are going to, all of the Lakers in 5 talk, all of the stuff going on. Then the last point is you got to cry to the officials because I don't know, man. Whatever. So anyway,
if the Lakers think they have no depth now, what are they going to have when they have to put together a package with Reeves, with Rui, with 3 other guys to get Giannis in town for 2 years and draft picks?
LeBron says trade every draft pick that we have any kind of control over.
It's not going to matter to him after this season. Win now mode. Set the Lakers back 80 years by.
I can't wait for them to not get Giannis and trade for somebody else, and then Laker fans pretend like they didn't want Giannis in the first place. So that'll be fun. Anyway, all right. One last thing to wrap up the show, and we'll get out of here. Is that the Minnesota Vikings had JJ McCarthy speak at the podium for the first time since he was I wouldn't say since being named starter, but it's the first time he's talked to the media since I think maybe he talked like at the end of the season. Maybe like sometime in December. This is the first time in about a quarter of a year talking in front of the media and talking about being the starter, and was pretty reserved. It didn't necessarily give anything away, But I think the vibe that I've gotten from listening to the press conferences, not just of McCarthy, but also of a few other people, is that JJ McCarthy may be we're calling him a quote unquote rookie because he doesn't have any on-field playing experience in an actual NFL game, regular season. But this is a dude who is conducting himself like he is not a rookie. That's a dude that has been in the building for a year and is comfortable. And you can, again, not that they're super behind JJ McCarthy, here we go, but you can definitely tell that this is this is kind of the first steps, right? We're reading things. This is McCarthy's first run of practices as the number one quarterback. And again, as we talked about earlier in the week, we're not going to know until he plays, and that's really going to be the biggest thing. But so far, he's checked about every other box, right, Zeke?
100%. Yeah, he's been in the building for a year. I mean, that injury was kind of a blessing in disguise. Took the pressure off of him because if the second that Darnold struggled last year, you look at the Jacksonville game, you look at the Tennessee game, I think it was. I mean, if he was healthy, fans would be clamoring for JJ McCarthy right then and there. Not available, gets a year, gets to know his coaches, gets to know the guys around him, gets to know the playbook, gets to become acclimated without the pressure. And now the pressure is going to hit this season because we've had a full year of waiting in the wings. And now this is the time that JJ McCarthy is going to come in and step in and be the starting quarterback of this football team. And the weapons are around him. He's got arguably a top 5 offensive line in football now with the changes that they made there. He's got some huge weapons outside with JJ McCarthy, not JJ McCarthy, Justin Jefferson. That's what I'm thinking of. Gee whiz. Jordan Addison. And it's going to be a fun season.
It's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be no heartbreak at all next season. Why would I want to get excited for? I'm sorry. Yeah.
JJ McCarthy did speak of the pressure. He said pressure is a privilege. And he said he's ready for it. And a lot of people talk about, are you ready to pressure a team? The pressures of leading a team. And look, not to say that the NFL is a completely different animal. And I understand that. And it's not the same as college, no matter what setting you're in. That being said, he's the closest thing you can get being the starting quarterback at Michigan for multiple seasons and winning a national championship. That's a lot of pressure. You're talking to the media every week. You're leading a team every week. You're doing all that stuff. That's a guy who conducts himself really well. And I don't know. There's nothing to make other than other than the fact that he looks like he's 16 because he's got a baby face. It's just a dude who is conducting himself like a starting NFL quarterback. Anything, Corey?
Yeah. Has anybody ever done one of these press conferences and not?
Shedeur Sanders, I think.
He's never done one. He had private interviews, I understand. Of course he looked good. I don't know. I'm excited for him, but what happened yesterday has got nothing to do with it.
Right. And more importantly, it's the first set of practices as the starting quarterback.
It's his coaches talking about him. And it's his teammates that are talking about him that you can read between the lines of those things of what they're saying about JJ and his professionalism and his ability. Those are the things that are promising to me. That was nothing yesterday. That's nothing. Who cares? You're the starting quarterback of an NFL team. Eventually you have to be asked non-questions and then give non-answers to those non-questions. That's a stupid question. Are you feeling any pressure? The pressure's a privilege. Do you want me to just write it down for you and just write that article? How excited are you? It's going to be great. It's nice to be healthy. We know that was nothing yesterday. I don't care.
I'm already planning the parade, Corey. It's already in motion. We're already.
That's a different conversation than that interview yesterday. That was dumb. I don't need any of that ever. I don't need any of that stuff.
Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. I can't end it any better than that. We got a Corey rant to stop the show. That's perfect. We'll see you guys next time. Maybe Zeke will be less irritated, depending on how the Wolves game goes. If not, guys, if the Wolves win, the biggest question is when are we having the second appearance of sales guy Jared Reinens on the show?
As soon as possible.
We're doing a post-game podcast right now. We went to his house. Anyway.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. I told him, I joked on him. I said, we'll have you on after the show once the Wolves win the series.
He'll be a Wolves fan again.
Can we get a Laker fan on?
No, the best I could do is a Luka fan.
Bye.
Bye.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.